So this is Excel lesson number 3, and it's continuation from using formulas. In this particular spreadsheet, what I want to do is I want to multiply these values here by 4% to get the next month's values, and multiply that by 4% to get the next month's values, etc. So there's multiple ways of actually getting the new value, but essentially what you need to do is take that, multiply it by the 4%, and then add that value back on to the original to give you the new value. So I'm not really going to give you a maths lesson as such, but what I'd like to talk about is the principle of BODMAS. A little space here, and that is BODMAS. And what BODMAS is, it is the order of operations that Excel does when it does a calculation. So it will do the brackets first, ofs next. Division and multiplication have the same equal sort of status, and they would be done in the order that they appear in the actual formula. And addition and subtraction the same. They have the same equal precedence, and they would be done in order that they occur. So in my case, I want to do a formula, and I would need to actually use brackets to make sure that the multiplication is done before the addition. As I said, there's more than one way of doing this. And I don't really want this to turn into a maths lesson, but essentially what we need to do is, as I said, there's more than one way of doing this, but I'm just going to use the percentage way, is add 100% plus this 4%, and that will give us our original, which is 100% of the amount that we start with, plus 4% of the amount that we start with. So to do that, it would be something like this. So it would be, and I'll just put the cell references in, so it will be B5, and we're going to multiply B5, so asterisk, multiply B5 by B19, sorry, by B19 plus 100%. So that would essentially be B5 times by 104% in this case. There's a few little things that we need to take into account just based on things like absolute and stuff like that. So in my case, this would actually be B5 times by, and because I want it to be B19 plus 100%, that is a plus. If I didn't put brackets around that, it would actually multiply B5 by B19 first, and then it would add 100. So it would do that after the case. What I want it to do is I want it to do the addition before it does the multiplication. So I would just do something like this. B19 plus, plus 100%. Close the bracket. And that's essentially what the formula is. If I want to use that formula across the whole spreadsheet, that 4%, you can see that 4% is just here. It's only in the one spot. So I need to make that absolute. So it would actually be $B $19 plus 100%. So it would be 4% plus 100%, which would be 104%. So that would actually be B5 times by 104%. So the 100% being the original amount, so whatever is in B5, plus 4% of whatever is in B5. So that's the formula that we need to put in. Okay, so to continue on, to put that formula in, I'm going to put my cursor up into C5, and I'm going to tell Excel that I'm going to do a formula. So I put the equals first to tell it that it's a formula, and then I'm going to move across to B5, and then I'm going to put in multiply, and then I'm going to put an open bracket, and then I'm going to go down here to B4, so B19 to the 4%. I'm going to press F4 to make it absolute. If you're not using a Windows machine, obviously you can put those dollar signs in yourself. And then I'm going to go plus 100%. Close bracket. There's the formula. Press enter. And that is my new amount, 2434.64. And because I've made this absolute and the rest of it is relative, i.e. the previous cell next to it, I can just do something like this. Go down to copy the formula, and then I can go across, like so, to copy the formula. And so now you can actually see this one here is equal to F13, which is the previous cell, times by B19, down here, plus 100%. And you can see all the way along that has just picked up the previous one. The B19s remain the same, and obviously the 100% has remained the same. There is more than one way of doing this calculation. I've just shown you the way that I do it. You can do it without using percentages, multiply it by 1 plus 0.04 or plus the cell. Because when I formatted, this is actually formatted as a percent. If I was to show that as a number, and I'll just do it with a comma, you can see it's actually 0.04. When you format anything as a percent or add a percent sign to it, it automatically multiplies it by 100. So 4% is the same as 0.04.